SoccerBallz.co.za.
Second, if you go to www.TopOdds.compare, you'll see all their odds. I mean, I'm fascinated in the Golden Boot. I was just saying to Maz, who's looking to put some World Cup bets on with old Thumper Pigeon, at Thumper Pigeon on Twitter, is giving us some charity bets. We've also got some 500 Rand bets we put on ages ago on various nations at the World Cup. I can't bring them all to mind right now. I think we put some on Belgium
Argentina,
in the end. A lot of people tell
Belgium,
me,
Well, maybe because he didn't really do it. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, no, we did.
We'll
We
just leave it
definitely bet. Brandon.
Yes, I know.
How you doing, Brandon? Good to speak to you, mate. I mean, obviously, there's nothing else but the World Cup to talk about today. TopOdds.com is full of World Cup betting. I'm just accessing it now. Tell us about the Golden Boot, Brandon, about the top scorer at this World Cup. Will it be Wayne Rooney?
Oh, most definitely not. We discussed this 2 or 3 shows ago. And, yeah, I think if Wayne Rooney gets the Golden Boot, England will win the World Cup. That's the bottom line. And, that's a stretch.
It is a stretch, I agree. Yeah, no, I agree completely. Okay, tell me about Griezmann, the French lad, has been suggested by a couple of people, French midfielder who comes forward and gets goals, but generally it's Lionel Messi. Romelu Lukaku is fit, and the Belgian with the DRC background has to be someone that we look at as well if Belgium do, what we hope they do and emerge as the dark horses of this tournament. But, I mean, Argentina have got all kinds of strikers, haven't they?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, Lionel Messi is favourite to win the Golden Boot. And you know what? I'm just of the opinion that, he's favourite to win the Golden Boot, but the guy never performs at a World Cup. I mean, him and Ronaldo in the last World Cup, and that's generally the form line that we need to look at. They weren't as good as we all thought they would be, and that was disappointing. It was disappointing from not only a fan's point of view, but from the respective countries' point of view, because you look at a team like Portugal, and I think if Ronaldo wasn't in that side, then they'd be 150 to 1 as opposed to 30 to 1 to win the tournament. Lionel Messi, I don't like him at all. I think if you're going to look for a top goal scorer from Argentina, you need to look at Aguero. I think the guy's, he's a great goal scorer for City, and I don't know what's going to change. I mean, he would be my pick to be top goal scorer if you're looking at an Argentinian winner of the Golden Boot.
You're looking at 16 to 1 for Aguero.
16 to 1 for Aguero, and I think that's absolute value. A lot of bookmakers are laying the double. You can take top goal scorer onto the winner of the tournament. So if you like Argentina to win the tournament, and you like Sergio Aguero to be top goal scorer, they'll lay you something like 33 to 1, which is some value, I think.
I think it's fantastic odds, and I must agree with you, Brandon, that I'm also, yes, Lionel Messi, the last World Cup was disappointing, but any player can have an off sort of tournament or off day, whatever. But I do feel that they've changed his role in the national team. He is the captain, and the way they qualified, he adds a lot more to the team now. And I think the impetus is he's not the out-and-out goal scorer. As you said, they've got many goal scorers, but I also do. I'd have tipped Aguero to be my top scorer, and hoping that Argentina go on to win the World Cup. But also Lukaku. I do think that if Belgium, as Neil said, can go as far as everyone's expecting or not expecting them to go, Lukaku is a proven goal scorer.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
Mark, you have a look at it, and like you say, if you look at the draws, Argentina must have the easiest group. And the Golden Boot winner can come just out of the group stages where in one game Aguero or Messi get a hat-trick against Iran or Bosnia, and that's the Golden Boot. I'm not sure how many goals have won it in the past. Maybe
7. Spain won it with 7 last time, but Germany scored 21 goals.
6 or 7, and you've done it. So, just on the draw, you have to like an Argentinian goal scorer. And like you say, I think, look at Sergio Aguero. He's the guy. And maybe for Brazil, maybe a guy like Fred at 25 to 1 might be a little bit of value.
Yeah, everyone's talking about Fred. He's not had the best of run-ups to this tournament, but playing for Brazil, Gary Lineker won it twice, didn't he? In 1986 and 1990 with 6 goals, or was it 5? Just looking at the groups, if we come back to kind of the general betting on the World Cup, I did an analysis based on the latest FIFA rankings, and England's group, Group D, with Italy, Uruguay and England, 3 former winners, are now the toughest, the group of death, as we call them, whereas Argentina's group is the easiest, and obviously the second most difficult group is Group G with the United States and Ghana coming up against two of the world's top 3 sides, Germany and Portugal, top 4 sides, because Portugal went down to 4 in the last FIFA rankings. It's quite easy to rank it according to the FIFA rankings. What have you got in terms of just your outright winner? Are Brazil favourites?
Yes, Brazil are favourites.
Yeah.
Brazil are 28-10 with both bookmakers. Yeah. The massive change in the last week is that Argentina have shortened from 7-1 to win the tournament. They're now 4-1 to win the tournament. That's with both bookmakers. So punters are of the opinion that Argentina are going to win this tournament, and they've put their money where their mouths are. For me, once again, it comes down to the draw. I mean, Brazil are favourites, but Brazil will meet Spain or Netherlands, one of the two. I think it's in the second round or the round of 16. I'm not the quarterfinals. I'm not too sure which one it is, but I do know that they meet one of those sides. To take 28-10 Brazil to get past Spain or Netherlands could be a problem. And, Argentina might just have the easier run all the way to that final.
Yeah. I think Argentina have got a slightly easier run. And I think I've been saying all the way through, Mark, and I don't know if you agree with this, that it's a Latin American World Cup, so you expect the Americas to do well. Even the USA and Honduras and teams like that might be in a stronger position. But then a lot of people are saying we haven't had a World Cup in Latin America since '86. We haven't. It's historic, and football's more global now. And that Germany, France, Holland will be up there, and Belgium, obviously, people are talking about. But I'm looking at Chile, Colombia as my upsets, as my dark horses, teams that we don't often talk about. I know Falcao's injured, but I think there's a lot going on there as well. Who do you pick out as your dark horse, Brandon?
I don't know if they're a dark horse. I mean, I think of the African sides, Ivory Coast with the side they've got, they're in a hard group, but you'd have to think Yaya Touré's last World Cup, probably Drogba's last World Cup, definitely. They were very disappointing in Africa. We expected them to be the top finishers, and it just didn't end up that way. They're 125-1, and maybe the Africans can make a run to the quarters. But I think in this World Cup everybody's overlooked this German side. Everybody watched them here in 2010, and I remember sitting down and saying, "Gee, was in 4 years' time. I mean, these guys are 21 and they're 22. In 4 years' time, it's got to be right for them to run deep in this tournament. They run deep anyway in a World Cup, Germany. And you'd like to back a side that are good on penalties, and that I don't know if it's the blood in the German veins or what it is, but they run deep, and I think 6-1's a little bit of value on Germany.
What did you think of Germany at 2010, Mark? And can they go on in 2014 to win it?
No, definitely. I think we all know the Germans, when it comes to big tournaments, they always perform. As a team that you never back against them because they got that big match temperament. And a lot of us did say that, let's watch this team in 4 years' time. Now it's 4 years down the line. But I do think that, yes, they have grown as a national team, but the last Euro, I think, was it Italy that knocked them out of the Euro? So, they certainly have grown as a team. But I just think that this World Cup is so open and so exciting that you can't pinpoint anyone. I think that if you look at someone like France, we know they've got the capability on the field. Off the field, we know what the French are like, but they've also on the easier side of the draw. And the French team on any given day can beat anyone. So there's some teams that we're not really talking about. The Spanish team, we forget that they are double Euro champions, World Cup champions.
Correct.
And we're not really talking about it, and that's probably good for the Spanish team themselves, that they're going there as major underdogs. So I think it's a World Cup that give it into the first, after the second games, and we'll slowly start seeing how this World Cup's going to pan out.
Yeah, most definitely.
So we're looking at putting a couple of charity bets on. I want to go for the Golden Boot. I want to have a look at Aguero, maybe Lukaku. Obviously not Wayne Rooney. He hasn't scored a goal in the World Cup finals. Mark, is there a bet that stands out to you?
No, I've actually have already tipped Aguero or Lukaku. But if you look out there, someone like Benzema. He's for the French team, someone's going to have to go out and score. Giroud, one of those French strikers, if they perform, will go out and score goals. Balotelli for Italy, we know he scores goals, and if the Italians are going to go far and do well, that he's definitely going to play a major role. So there are a couple of strikers out there that you could certainly put a bit of money on and make some money.
Yeah. Okay, Comfort, what were you talking about earlier? You want to bet on yellow cards or red
Yeah,
cards?
the team to get the most yellow cards.
Yeah. Okay. Who's that going to be, mate?
Yeah.
Comfort likes to back guys to get sent off. And,
Oh, she's an Orlando Pirates fan.
What I'd like to draw your attention to is we've done a little bit of research, and obviously the opening game is this evening. We know Brazil are overwhelming favourites to win that. Just in terms of a game by game, I've picked out 2 or 3 fixtures that are massive this weekend and will probably have a big bearing on the tournament. Obviously, the opening game this evening, Brazil versus Croatia. And I'd like to ask, in terms of your guys' expertise, if I can call it that, do you think Croatia can get anything from this opening game?
I do think they can. I do think that Croatian team is a very underrated team. But they certainly, as Neil mentioned, they've got some fantastic individuals. They are a very passionate team. And they can certainly cause an upset. But in saying that, you would like to think that a Brazilian national team going out there, running out home fans, opening of the World Cup, they've got to stamp their mark in the opening game. So, yes, Croatia are able to, but I doubt they will. I think the Brazilians will go and run out not comfortable with it. I don't think it's going to be a riot. I think that the Croatians will push them hard and push them all the way to the end. But I do fancy Brazil to go on to win it.
Well, I mean, if you have a look at the betting, World Sports Betting, they're offering 8-1 Croatia to get a win tonight. Now, 8-1 in a soccer match, that's massive odds in a World Cup opener. They're going to be there to play. I hope Brazil win, because I hope Brazil run deep in this tournament. It'll create an atmosphere at the World Cup. You always want the home side to do well. But, yeah, that might just be a little bit of an outsider for this evening. And obviously the massive game that's coming up is Spain versus the Netherlands. I mean, this is massive. It's a replay of the World Cup final 4 years ago. And if you have a look at the betting here, LM Bookmaker and World Sports Betting have Spain up at 8-10 to win the game. Netherlands at over 3-1. Now, I know Spain are, like you said, the Euro and the World Cup champions and whatever, but just under 4-1 a Netherlands side that are experienced and can play football, that just might be a little bit of value.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that we can't underrate the Dutch, but I think if you've got the punters out there, definitely it's a good value for money. Put a bet on there. But I think that why the bookmakers are doing that is that Netherlands' defense is very, very weak compared to the midfield and strike force going forward. Where the Spanish team, they haven't got weaker. I think that obviously Puyol's not there, but the form that Ramos is in, and when you generally look at a World Cup winning team, you generally have the best central defender and best goalkeeper in the world. And Iker Casillas is arguably one of the top goalkeepers in the world, and Ramos, to me, is arguably the best central defender in the world. So that's I can understand why the bookmakers are giving the Spanish team out-and-out favourites, but if you're daring and betting man, there's no reason not to put some money on Netherlands.
Yeah, most definitely. I think that's going to be a massive game because, the winner of that game is potentially through the group. You've picked up the 3 points, and potentially over the next 2 games, you would think they would at least get a point from each of them, and 5 points should be enough. And another massive game, that I've picked out is England-Italy. Now, I want Neil's opinion on this because probably the winner of this game gets through the group again. So we've called it the group of death. Both bookmakers, LM Bookmaker have England up at 18-10. World Sports Betting have England up at 2-1. The draw is 2-1 with both bookmakers. And Italy are just slight favourites at 16-10. I don't know if Italy can go into this game as favourites. I like England, and I think England will win.
What?
I do.
What tremendous colonial optimism. Listen, mate, I think a draw is probably the best bet on Italy-England. Sadly, I don't think either side will contend at this World Cup. I think Uruguay will be the team from the so-called group of death that actually makes it. But yeah, Brandon, I think I'd go for the draw on that. I'm quite pessimistic about England's chances at this World Cup. I'm sick and tired of for 48 years, and that is a fact, 48 years of hoping that England would do as well as they did, just after the war in 1966. I don't think they've got a cat and hell's chance of getting any further than the 16. Italy will probably put them out. So that's how I stand on that. I'm afraid not very optimistic.
Maybe that's exactly what England need.
Yeah.
It's for England or the English fans not to be optimistic this time, and maybe it'll just work in their favour. You never know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was looking at a stat well, not a stat, a theory. You know, the last time that Real Madrid won the Champions League and Atletico Madrid won the Spanish La Liga, and the side came back from 2-0 down to win the FA Cup, England won the World Cup. So, you never know.
I've seen all that, mate, but it's all a load of bollocks, to be honest. Brandon, thanks a million for your help. I mean, obviously, during the World Cup, it will be fascinating. The thing is, we don't really know yet, do we? World Cup warm-ups and bloody FIFA rankings mean nothing at the end of the day. We've got to have a look at how these sides kick off, how they set themselves up, and who's really injured and who isn't. So we'll be having a look at. We'll come back to you, Brandon, and see if those charity bets can win anything for Wings of Change. Thank you, Brandon, and we'll be back to you next week.
Guys. Enjoy the
Cheers, Brandon. Thanks.
Yeah, Brandon from TopOdds, guys, our backers on Bollocks and now SoccerBallz.
Balls.co.za